Hi guys, welcome back to my cooking channel. Today I'm gonna be making chile rellenos. They're one of my favorite things to eat, and we're gonna start off by charring our chile poblanos. The chile poblano is this thing right here. They are known for having a hollow, like they're very hollow inside, so they're great for stuffing with cheeses, meats, beans, everything that are usually put into chile rellenos. So let's get on and char our chiles poblanos. So I already have the comal already on the stove, already preheated to high, and we're just gonna be simply putting the chiles poblanos on top of it and charring them. Now, they usually take about 5 to 6 minutes to completely char, and I'll be back when I put the rest there. So now that I put only chile poblanos to char, let's talk about some facts about chiles. Chiles are the fruit of many chili and pepper plants, including jalapenos, serranos, poblanos, and habaneros. Most of the chile plants were domesticated in central Mexico, and after the Columbian exchange, many other people from like Portugal, China, Japan came to Mexico and got their own chili peppers, where they domesticated them and breeded them to have the other chiles that we have today. Another thing is that what makes peppers hot is actually a chemical called capsaicin, which makes our tongue think that it's on fire. So every time you feel your tongue burning, it thinks that it's fire. So that's a cool fact. Now, after about 2 minutes, we want to flip the chile poblanos so they get charred on every side, because we're cooking them so they're not as chewy or tough when we actually begin to fry them. I will also be making a rice dish. We will also set the temperature to a medium-high so that the oil gets hot. So now that the oil's hot, we're going to be adding about a cup or a cup and a half of rice to the pan. When the rice is already inside the pan, we're actually going to be slightly browning / toasting the rice to give it that signature brown, semi-chewy texture that it's known for. I'd say in about 4 more minutes, the poblanos are going to be already toasted. And be cautious, because the vapor coming out of the chiles will irritate your throat or eyes. So I would recommend putting the fan on. Okay, now so that when the chile poblanos are already toasted on all their sides, we're going to be putting them in a plastic bag or in a Ziploc bag. This is done so that the chile poblanos can sweat and like release more of the vapor, so it makes the skin or the charred skin easier to remove, because we cannot eat the charred skin. We want to eat the flesh of the inside part of the chile. The rice will start looking like this, and it still needs to be a little bit more brown, but it should be about that color already. Okay, now that the rice is now nice and toasted, we're going to be adding water straight to the pan. Be careful, because this does produce a lot of vapor and it can be burnt easily. So we're just going to put it on there and give it a stir. Okay, when you already add the water to the rice, we are going to be adding about 2 teaspoons of consomate, which is like a tomato chicken flavored bouillon. Or you could also use a blend of spices, but right now this is the easiest thing. So we're going to be using about 2 teaspoons again. So while the rice is cooking, I'm going to be starting making the corn tortillas. So I'm going to be using maseca or corn flour. And I'm going to make about 4 tortillas. So that's about half a cup of flour. So when I'm going to be adding that, you're going to also want to add about the same amount or less of warm or lukewarm water. Make sure to also add about half a teaspoon of salt, Because if you don't, you're gonna have bland tortillas, and no one wants bland tortillas. So make sure to add about half a teaspoon of salt. You're gonna keep adding water until it gets like the consistency of Play-Doh. It sounds really weird, but we want a nice Play-Doh-y consistency to be able to make your tortillas. Your end goal is to have a masa like this. It's like almost like, as I said, Play-Doh texture. And what you would do is roll it into a ball. And traditionally, when you didn't have the presser, you would flatten out with your hands, like that, and make the tortillas. But we have a presser, and I'll show you how to do that in a hot minute. Okay, so now I have the tortillera, or the tortilla maker, and it looks like this. It can be made from wood or metal or anything. And the way it works is that you would put two plastics or sheets so it doesn't stick to the wood, and you would put your masa there. You would close it and then press it to make the tortilla. And I'll be showing that process right now. So always make sure that you have like a bowl of water or a wet paper towel to be able to have wet hands, because the dough will stick to your hands if you're dry. So now, for a nice tortilla, oopsie daisy, we're gonna take about an inch by inch by inch ball. We're gonna roll it flat, and we're gonna place it in the middle. We're gonna close this and press. And there we go. We're gonna slowly pull it back like that, and bam, a nice tortilla. So I'm gonna pick you up, flip the camera. So I slightly oiled the comal with a paper towel wet with oil, and what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna place the tortilla on there. Now be cautious because you can burn yourself. And so yeah, I'll be making the other ones. I'm gonna show you a second time so y'all really get it. Wet hands, dough, inch by inch by inch. I'm gonna roll into a ball, place it, and press. Like that. Lift it. And oops, sorry. And sometimes they're gonna be lopsided or something, but they're for us. They're not for customers. So, ta-da! And I get placed onto the oiled comal, like so. Now, okay, so now we already put the tortillas on the comal, and we're gonna let them cook for 15 seconds or to 30 seconds on each side until they are no longer sticking. When they're no longer that, you're gonna get it with a fork, a spatula, or your hand, and you're gonna flip it like that. And they'll be ready when they're a bit brownish. These ones are a bit thick, doesn't matter. So yeah, and I'll be making more. The tortillas are done already, so we're just gonna grab them and put them on the plate. Talking about corn tortillas, corn was first introduced to the indigenous people around 1200 BCE. And they used that in all the dishes. They used it for making tortillas, masa, like dough, to make a bunch of other things. And even if you would dry them and crush them up, you could make a drink out of them with water. They were found in a little grain grass, like a little grass grain. And over time, people started specifically breeding them so that the corn would be bigger, there would be no husk around them, and eventually they got to the maize you know today. The way that the peoples would make the corn or the maize into the masa would be that they would first get it and either cook them or dry them, either way, and at the end process you would get them, put them in a pot with caulk or lime or something like that. They will usually use crushed up seashells or ash from wood, and they would boil it. And then what that would cause would be called nixtamalization. And what that is, it breaks down the outer husk of the corn, so it can be made into a finer, smoother dough to make the stuff that we all love. Now with that done, we can start removing the skin from our chile poblanos. So we're gonna take one out, and you will notice that they're way softer, and the skin basically wants to fall off by itself. So we start doing, and you can get on the knife, a fork, anything, even your hand, and just slowly start removing the charred skin. Now, if I grab a knife, we can just do this simply with the back side of the knife, and just do that. And eventually, all the skin will start to be falling off, like this. And we basically want that to be done all around the chile poblano. Oops. And when that's done, I'll notify y'all. Now, when you're done depeeling the skin, or like the outer charred part of the chile, it's gonna be looking like this. There's no more skin, and it's very silky smooth. So I'll do the rest, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so now we're gonna be doing the part where it gives the chile rellenos their like fluff. We're gonna be cooking about 6 eggs into a bowl and removing the yolk. So we just use the whites and whisking that with by hand or with an electric matter until they're fluffy. So I'll tell you when that's done. Make sure to remove the yolk from the egg whites. I'm gonna be showing you some different ways that you can actually remove the egg yolk from the egg. So the one you just saw me do was with the hand, just scooping the egg up with my hand and removing the yolk. I don't like doing that because personally, I don't like the smell of raw egg. It makes me sick. Not sick, but it just personally doesn't sit well with me. So I'll show that one more time. So we get the egg yolk like that, and we just slowly, make sure not to break it, bring it up like that. You want all the other egg parts to go away like that. Now, one of my other ways that and this is personally my favorite way, is you crack the egg, and with the yolk still inside the egg, like so, you just slowly move it back and forth, and the egg part will eventually, and the yolk part will eventually be separated from the white part. You can also use a bottle to suck up the yolk, but right now I won't have a bottle. So yeah, come back to y'all when it's done. So now I already have the 6 egg whites in the bowl. We're gonna whisk them until they're fluffy. We're not gonna add any salt or nothing to that because that will affect the fluffiness, and we want it to have max like volume so we can actually dip the chile poblanos in them. With the egg whites done, we're gonna get the chile poblanos, and we are going to be inserting the cheese inside of them. You can put meat, beans, cheese, a bunch of things inside a chile relleno, but I'm gonna go normal, not the normal way, but the traditional way, or the most common way in my family, is by just putting regular cheese. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a slit down the chile poblano, so that it opens up. Now you could de-seed it, but I don't, because I personally like the seeds. They like to give a kick to it, and because these are kind of big, we're gonna be putting 2, I'm gonna say 1/2 inch by 3 inches of cheese. We're using regular mozzarella, and you could put them like that, but also you could put a toothpick in them so they won't close. That's personal style. So now we need the flour part. We have the flour here. You can add about, I put about here about 2 cups of flour, 2.5 cups of flour, and you can put salt or a bit of all seasoning or all-purpose seasoning, season all, and we're gonna put again about a teaspoon of seasoning to the flour. So just to give more flavor to the chile rellenos. Okay, so now while I was doing that, I already put a pan with oil so and it heats up. It's gonna be a medium heat, but first I like to put it on high or a medium high so the oil gets hot, and then lower it back down to a medium when it's nice and hot. So when the oil's already done and hot, we're gonna get our chile rellenos with the toothpick and the cheese inside, and we're gonna put them in the flour so they get nice and coated. Make sure every part is coated like that, so like the egg whites stick to it, like so. And we are gonna be putting inside of the whipped egg whites like this. Sometimes it's tricky for it to stick, but you get there. Like so. Oh, okay. And you could also use a spoon or a fork to help you if it's not sticking that well. Like so. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot of it to stick to it. It needs to be like a good amount though. That's what make a chile relleno a chile relleno. If it was like just like that, it would probably just be like chile con queso. Like, no one wants that. So when that's done, we are gonna slowly put it inside of the oil, because it will go like that. And let it cook. And right here I can fit 2, so I'm gonna be doing the other one. And I'll go in a minute. So now that the 2 are in there, you can like slowly flip it with some tongs and slowly give it a nice twist until like it's nice and beautifully golden brown. This one is still a few seconds, but it should look like that. So here's what I made today, what we're doing. So right here we have the chiles rellenos with the cheese inside and flour / egg white coating. We also made the rice, which came out beautifully and fluffy. Right here, came out beautifully and fluffy, like that. We also made some handmade tortillas to eat with our chiles rellenos, and let's try it. So we're gonna get the chile relleno, and remember guys, there is a toothpick in here, so I like to look for it and see if I can find it. Somewhere in here. It's too hot. Well, be careful when eating it, because there is a toothpick. I'm gonna serve myself a little side of rice to go with the chile relleno and the tortillas we made. Why am I dipping everything? And so then we're gonna cut into it, and then here's the toothpick I found. Let me take that out. And as you can see, the cheese is inside of the chile relleno, like so, the cheese, and this piece of tortilla, and there you go. So I'll show you how it is. It came out really good, and the rice is perfect. So thank you guys for seeing my YouTube channel today and seeing me prepare all of this. And next week I want to be making enchiladas. So subscribe, like, and if you want to learn how to make more of this delicious food.